Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Just a quick look round at some things going on. This Brassica tessa is, well, that spike's fully open now, and the scent from that is quite strong, but it needs the brighter light. So on a day like today, where it's been raining for the last couple of hours, it's pushing out next to no scent at all. You have to get quite close. Whereas yesterday, when the sun was in the grow room, it was quite strong. The other spikes are coming along behind. I've got a nobly out there. That's a piece that I broke off. You can probably see the base of it is a bit abrupt. When I repotted that main plant, that piece was hanging out the edge, and quite honestly it was just in the way, so I just cut it off and stuck it in a pot, and that's doing some out of season buds, because this is not normally a nobly time of year, but they do strange things. I think quite honestly they please their flipping selves and do what they choose. What else? The Bulbophyllum, the Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry has finished its blooms for now, so that's gone over. They didn't seem to last that long, but the buds that weren't fully open when I got the plant had a kink in the flower spike, so I didn't expect that one to last too long anyway. At the moment, that's its only new growth that hasn't matured fully, so maybe that will spike later on. It's going to have to come out of that pot. I want to get it in a wooden basket, you know, something like that, on the grounds that you can see it's a bit of a rambler. Yeah, it pushes out in all directions, and at the moment it's got a lot of aerial roots. Now those would grab hold of wood really well. They're not grabbing hold of plastic very well. You can see they're heading for the plastic pot, but they're not attaching to it. They're just riding along the edge of it. That's because it's got a shiny surface and it doesn't lend itself, whereas wood would be brilliant. There's a lot of woods in there. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, that Oncidium up the back still isn't quite open, but it's getting there. I'm really looking forward to that, because that is a bright yellow. That really is quite good. Up behind that monster, if I can get it out the way, the orange one's just opened its first bloom this morning, so that one's coming on. So that's a new one in the grow room. The bud on the Mordier is going to be open very soon now, and the second bud is pushing up behind. The only other path that I've got that's got a bud, you can probably just see the bud pushing round behind that. I'm not getting in there to get it out. It's not open yet. When it's open, it'll come to the front. The Restrepias just keep popping out blooms every now and again. Yeah, they're looking good. Plants are looking good. They're coming on. Quite pleased with those. They just come and go, and I quite like it like that. But the reason for filming is, oh, I forgot that one. That's opened a couple more blooms, or is opening. But this is a problem with your aspect to where light is, where you place your plant. Although that plant's facing out into the grow room, it's got plain glass behind it. Now that piece of glass this time of year gets no sun, no direct sun, because the sun sets before it gets round this side. But the flowers are heading towards the brightest point they can see, so they're facing into the back of the mount. So strictly speaking, that could do with going in a different place where the flowers would come out towards the light and face us rather than hiding away like they are. But there's another bud coming in there, so yeah, it blooms on and off. But this is the little beauty I wanted to film. There we go. Doesn't look much, but that is very, very special, because that is my first ever Coelogyne bloom in this grow room. Despite having, I've probably got 4 or 5 different species in here, that's the first one ever to produce a flower. And that's Coelogyne fimbriata. That was its last attempt at a flower. It didn't make it. But this one opened this morning. It will open a little bit more. That top petal will actually push upwards and leave it open. But it's a lovely deep chocolate colour. The lip is a gorgeous colour, and there's a lovely bit of yellow just above it which sets it off. The petals and sepals are basically a a very pale greenish cream, I suppose you could say that. Not sure whether the camera picks it up. But yeah, my first ever Coelogyne bloom. Other Coelogynes I've got, where are they all? There's that one, obviously. That was a piece that was broken off of that big pot full up in the corner there. And there's a bud sticking up out of the middle of that one as well. So that one's going to have a bloom on it soon. So there's those two. There's that monster down there, which is a type of cristata. Is that what I mean? It's the Lemoniara version, which apparently has nothing to do with the colour. It's to do with who hybridised it. And those two ugly looking things back in there are pieces that broke off of that when I put it in its pot. And then there's this one over here, which spent a year doing absolutely nothing, but then finally decided to push out a new growth, which compared with the others is pretty damn pathetic, but nonetheless it's now growing, whereas it wasn't before. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's either, well, it's unlikely to be a spike on a poor growth like that, but hopefully that's another new growth coming up the back there, probably. Could be a spike, I suppose. But what I'm hoping now is that that new growth will push roots out and it will give the plant a kickstart, basically, and hopefully it'll get going a bit, because that's been static for far too long. Okay, that was all. This thing is still not showing any roots coming out from these giant kikis, but the nubbins are still there. They're not gone. They are swelling slightly. I'm still not sure whether they're going to be more kikis or buds, but time will tell. That's the beauty of the orchid world, is that if you're not sure if it's kikis, buds, leaves, give it a week. You'll soon find out. It's not the end of the world to know immediately. And one of my Phalaenopsis type dendrobiums is pushing up a spike. It's not much of one, it hasn't got many blooms on, but then that plant didn't like being repotted, it didn't like being disturbed, and it set it back a bit. So to get any blooms at all is good stuff. Yeah, that's about it for now. I suppose you can have a last look at that Vanda spike. I'm going to have to take that spike off soon. It's down to only a few flowers, and you know, at the moment it's not really doing any good. They're starting to fade, they're losing their richness of colour, so they'd probably be better taken off. That thing's going to be open soon. Yeah, that's about it for now. But yeah, that was the point. You know, first ever bloom on that plant, and first ever bloom of any of the Coelogynes I've got in this grow room. So a first bloom of the genus Coelogyne for me. I'm really pleased with that. They're not giants, but they are fragrant, and as I said, it's an unusual blend of colours with that deep chocolate brown and sort of hairiness to the lip, which I hope is showing up on the camera. So there we go then. Just a quick one, and thanks for dropping by and everything. And I will make a note on the end of this video in case you haven't seen comments going around. YouTube is dropping people's comments. They seem to become invisible to certain viewers, including the owner of the channel. So if you've left a comment on one of my videos and you haven't had a reply, even if the reply is only thanks or thanks for watching, I always reply. So if you haven't had a reply, I'm not being rude, it's probably because I can't see your comment. And in addition to that, according to Rachel, some people are getting unsubscribed when they haven't actually done it themselves. So games are being played in the YouTube world. I am adamant that since Google took it over, they've been fiddling with it to try and get their adverts in front of your nose and make you spend money, because that's what they're all about. But anyway, YouTube's got a few hiccups and a few niggles going on at the moment. And if I was going to do videos on my pet peeves, one of them would be totally unrelated to orchids. And it's people who play with software under the guise of software engineers or programmers who don't know what they're frickin' doing. If you don't know what you're doing, leave it alone. Bearing in mind that was my job for many, many years. and I had to stick to those rules. And if you do change something, make sure you flipping test it properly first. Don't just give it to the public and let it fall apart. I could have been shot for doing something like that in the software arena I worked in. Anyway, that's a pet peeve that's nothing to do with orchids, and I have a list of pet peeves. I'm still wondering whether I should do a video and jump on the bandwagon. I'll give it some thought. Okay, thanks for dropping by. See you next time.